Best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. And today we're going all the way down to Southwest Florida with my special guest here, Michael Ceely, mindset coach, and therapist, and former cyclist as well, who is nationally ranked as a Category 1 racer. So he definitely knows what he's talking about. He has that experience behind him as well. Michael, I'm so glad you're here to join me, man. How's it going?
Man, I'm really psyched to be on your show, man. You got I got some good energy, and I love watching your episodes. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, man. I'm so happy to have you on, man. And I just want to jump straight into it, man. So I got some questions here, and this is kind of a ticket question, not necessarily a question, actually, which is weird. So I don't know why I phrase it that way, but here's an agree or disagree statement just to kind of get the ball rolling here. So I hear a lot of times like competing in a sport is mental. Obviously, you know it's mental because you have that experience of competing on a high level. But one of the myths I hear is that competing in a high level sport is 90% mental and 10% skill. Do you agree or disagree with this statement here?
I agree with that. Once you get to a professional level, once you get to a high level, it's that mental aspect that really is the difference between really like great champions. Now that said, right, so like there's certain talents and skills that you bring. You're certain kind of born with certain talents, so you're limited that way. So I agree with the statement because it emphasizes the mental aspect, and a lot of people discount that. Right. And then again, once you get to a high level, that statement is true. When you get maybe just coming up, or you're starting out in college or whatever it is, you're building skills, you're building experience, you're building confidence, and there's not that you can never get more skillful. Not that, like LeBron James could probably get more skillful, maybe somewhere, I don't know where. Like, it's possible. But yeah, I agree with that statement at the high level.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I actually agree with you too, because I like to throw my thoughts on the agree, disagree as well. And I kind of agree with you as well, because I feel like the preparation, especially at the higher level, the more intense you get into the sport and the more like skill I guess the higher competitive level. Yeah, like you were saying, professional level, collegiate level. A lot of it comes with the preparation, the IQ, the strategy of preparation, and just all of those things. But the physical aspect, once you got the muscle memory down, then at that point, when it's time to perform, your body's just going off of muscle memory because you've already done what you needed to do. So I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that there. And then also too, man, just kind of to move on. So that ticket was accepted. You answered that amazingly, and I'd like to hear that thoughts on that, man. So I know also too, you do some therapy for other athletes. You have that experience of your own. You've accomplished a lot in the cycling world. And I know you still cycle just for fun and stuff like that as well. But like, what are some of the most common challenges you hear when athletes are coming to you for help within their sport?
Yeah, they're coming to me usually for two reasons. One is some sort of an urgent sort of like crisis, like, I'm totally off my game. I'm burned out. I feel like quitting my sport. Problems with my coach, like some sort of a crisis kind of urgent thing.
Right.
Hear that right up front before any kind of mental skill building can take place. And the second kind of client comes to see me is someone who's doing pretty well, and they just want to up level. They just want to get better, so they're at more of a calmer place, and that's a great place to start building. But often it's people who come to me. We need to take care, put out a fire, repair work. So those two types of situations.
Right, kind of lost their mojo. I just want to get it back. Like, I've been struggling. I don't know how to do this type thing. And then also too, you mentioned something like where athletes get burned out. That's like a true thing. And I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on that, because, as a kid in adolescence, when they're playing sports, it's just meant to be fun. Like, they're brought up, they're playing sports. It's supposed to be fun when you're in middle school, high school. But the more you get to a higher level, then the time commitment is a little bit different. The dedication to doing things outside of practice is a little bit different. And it kind of becomes a burden depending on the person. What's your thoughts on like kind of balancing the dedication to your sport and also making sure you don't drive yourself crazy by trying to be good at your sport?
Well, you were really onto something there. At the younger level, you got to make it fun. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that like as a coach, you can't push your athletes into that like really aggressive, serious competitive mode,
Right.
but ultimately it has to be fun.
Yeah.
Because if it's like a job already when you're in your teens, that can lead to burnout. As you get older and you become a professional athlete, it is a job, a profession. That's what you do. So just like any kind of job, you can be prone to burnout if things aren't going the way you want it to, or you're not growing in it, you're not building, you're not happy with the relationships of people you're in your sport with. So really, burnout can happen at any stage of an athlete's career. When you're younger, often it comes from, unfortunately, a coach that will push the player too hard, or a parent who's really pushing the coach or the player too hard. And then as you get into the collegiate and the professional levels, all those levels, you're putting more work, more on your plate, and so you have to adjust. And it does become more like a job. But as you get older in the more professional ranks, like I said, it's more of like, are you growing? The relationships on the team are important. If you're not getting along with the teammate or the coach, not liking the coach, all those can lead to burnout. And what burnout really is essentially at its core a feeling of a lack of control. Like like if you, especially at the pro level, if you're feeling burnout, it means that you're off your game and you can't find a way out of it, like a batter in a baseball slump or something like that. Is that you don't see the way out. You feel trapped. And you're like, I don't really see this situation getting better, and I don't really have a solution.
Right.
And so that can lead to burnout. And that's when you need a coach who can have like outside eyes and see what's really going on. Because your own perspective, you may not see all the solutions that are available to you. So that's really burnout is a sense or a feeling, perception of loss of control.
Right. Okay. And that kind of brings up my next point too. This is actually another agree or disagree, because you like often in sports, especially at a high level in the professional collegiate level, a lot of times people, they say, oh, well, he loves the game. He doesn't love the game. They may have lost their love for the game. Obviously, burnout does contribute to someone maybe losing their love for the game. But do you feel as if you can't be in love with the game if you're not in love with the process that helps you get to that highest level? Or is that a thing that can like maybe exist without the other? Like, what's your thoughts on that pretty much is what I'm just trying to hear.
Yeah, well, love for the game. I would say that anyone who makes it to like the pro elite levels probably most likely started out loving the game. Hard to make it that far without not liking the game, right?
Facts, that's true.
Yeah, in the younger ranks, again, you're going to see some really talented kids that might be pushed by their parents or coach, and they're really not into it. Like they'd rather play, I don't know, tennis instead of basketball or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So then they'll really not actually have a love for the game truly.
Right.
But someone who's making it to higher levels, they do love it. They got into it because they loved it, most likely. Right? And so I don't think I think ultimately you do have to love the process of training and traveling and all this stuff that you don't really like to do. Kind of like workhorse stuff. Like you do have to love that process. And you don't have to love it at first, but you need to have an attitude adjustment so you do start to love it. Right.
Okay.
Because you can get burned out just in the training, get burned out just in the practices, not just in the competition. So I would say, yeah, you're right. You do have to, you don't have to like necessarily love the process, but you have to have, a bad attitude would be like, I'm just doing this for the game, or I'm just doing this. But there has to be some sort of, kind of like more of a presence in the process of I'm doing this to get better, to get more skills, and really even deeper to become a better person. Like to have more discipline in my life. And every challenge that comes my way, I'm looking at it as an opportunity for growth.
Right.
Bring me more adversity. Bring me more. I want to learn and grow, because after my sport, I can apply that to life as well. So the process, it's not that you love it, but you got to really step into it and embrace it and use it as an opportunity and look at it in a different way as opposed to just drudgery.
Yeah, instead of like saying like, oh damn, I gotta get up at 6, and like you plan this whole schedule of discipline and things you want to do to make sure you're successful in that sport. Instead of looking at it like, oh man, it's a burden, you gotta kind of embrace that. That's something actually that I've like tried to apply with just podcasts and stuff and everyday life stuff of the disciplines that I try and do, is just like, embrace it. Like you put it there for a reason. Like, you stick to this plan of being disciplined in this area. It's going to benefit you in this area as well. So I definitely agree with, so in the aspect of loving it. And you changed my answer. You changed my answer actually, because at first I was thinking like, okay, well, you can't really love the game if you don't love the process that comes with helping you be successful in your game. But also I disagree with that for the fact that some people are naturally gifted in certain sports. I don't know. Some people are 7 feet tall. So obviously they're going to be able to rebound the ball better than anyone. They might not have to work as hard to be able to rebound the ball. Some people are, stronger. So they may not have to worry about lifting as many weights and just, many different areas of all the advantages and disadvantages in sports. But some people are naturally gifted in certain areas. Therefore, I feel like because they are naturally gifted, they're good and they may not have to work as hard. Therefore, if they enjoy it, they can love the game. But it's like, oh, I hate lifting weights. I never had to lift weights to be good in high school. I never had to lift weights like that to be good in college. And now I'm on a professional level and this guy's making me lift weights every single day. So, I get that balance there, but long story short, it just made me kind of disagree with the original, claim that I was thinking. And at first I did agree. I was like, no, you can't love the game without loving the process. But no, that's a great point. And then also too, to kind of move on to one of my next questions here is, recently, within the NBA playoffs going on right now, there was a lot of talk about the Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo. Someone asked him like, okay, you guys got eliminated. Do you consider it a failure? And he, long story short, to sum it up, he was just pretty much mentioning that, it's not a failure at all. Like, it's only steps to getting to where you want to get. So I just want to hear your thoughts about failure. I'm sure some people take it way more harder than others, and others are like kind of easygoing where it's like, whatever, we're just going to build from it. So I want to hear your thoughts and like advice you would give to people if they're going through a tough time because of failure, in quotations, if you can't see.
Yeah. No, I love that you brought up with that quote from Giannis when he was interviewed.
Yeah.
And the reporter asked him after, the Bucks got eliminated from the playoffs, he's like, do you consider the season a failure? And people out there have not seen this clip. It's a brilliant clip. And his reaction to that and his response, which
Absolutely.
I thought was really thoughtful. And it was great. So basically he says, what do you say? Something about Michael Jordan. He said, Michael Jordan, the Bucks won 6 championships.
15 seasons. Yep.
Were the other seasons a failure? It's like, no, they were like building blocks to success. And I totally agree with him. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think so many athletes don't look at what they've built already. Almost like a foundation on a house. Like if you're building a brick building, like all those bricks you laid down when you were like 10 years old, when you're 15 years old, when you're in college, we're talking about basketball, and then as you get up there, you've built this huge foundation of bricks underneath you.
That's so true, man.
Right? So if you lose in the NBA finals, it means you lost the finals. It doesn't mean that the whole season is a failure or that you are a failure. It just means that you lost a game, right?
Yep, that's so true.
And it can really devastate an athlete's career if they take a loss personally, because they identify with it and say, oh, it's not that they believe this, but that what's happening in their brain subconsciously is they're thinking that I'm a failure. Right?
Because they failed at this one aspect or this one single moment, and don't even realize everything they've accomplished to get to that moment.
Exactly. That's as if all the bricks they've laid and built this huge foundation doesn't even exist anymore. And now they got to start from, step one. And that's just like a mental trick that your brain plays on you, but it's really not true. Yeah. And so I would say allow athletes to be kind of bummed out and mourn for a day or two. And it's natural. It's kind of sad. You're disappointed. but you want to get right back on the horse and you want to shift that attitude.
Yeah.
And you want to say like any kind of question we call negative self-talk. If you catch a teammate or you catch a player saying, I feel like a failure or I suck or something like that, you want to knock that out right away.
Get it right out their head, because it's like you wouldn't be where you are if you were a failure. And that's applicable to so many different aspects in life. And this is kind of why, I like having these conversations about, obviously, when you talk about sports, you can relate it to so many other things outside. It's just on, like, if you're listening, it's just on you to relate that to your personal situation, obviously. But man, like with so many different things that people do, a lot of times they just measure the moment, that specific moment where they might not have accomplished what they wanted to do. But in total, man, like you said, they've been laying down bricks since you were 13 years old, laying down bricks since you were 19 years old. For the last 7 years, you've been putting down bricks, getting things in order to get to where you are. And yeah, you may not have accomplished it at that moment, but at the end of the day, it's another brick that you just laid down to learn from and to build from. So it's crazy how, the perspective of everything kind of goes into if someone's a failure or not, So that brings me kind of to my next point. Just to shift gears a little bit also too, I want to talk about injuries. I know injuries are a huge part of the game. And to me, it kind of bugs me because obviously a fan of so many different sports, but other fans aren't really as understanding, I should say, when it comes to injuries, because they'll see a player get injured and they'll assume like, oh man, he's injury prone, or he doesn't care, he's not going to play through this injury. When in reality, a lot of times we forget that, this person, he has to deal with this injury. Like he has to worry about recovering, the certain things he can eat, what he can do on a daily basis. Like the last thing he's probably thinking in his mind is, man, I can't be out here with my team. Like, I just want to be able to walk, So I just want to hear your thoughts about, athletes going through these injuries and some of the tough times that they may have to endure, and methods that can help them through that journey of recovering from an injury.
Yeah, well, players that come to mind are Michael Jordan, of course, when he was injured early in his career.
Yeah. People forget that. He was struggling with the injury at first. Yep.
Right. And he was told to by his doctors and trainers, do not, put any stress on your foot. And he's like, no, I got to do something. Right.
Yeah. What was the thing they gave him? They said it's like a 5% or a 10% chance that, you won't be able to play or something like that again. And he was like, well, that means it's a 90% chance that I'll be all right, or whatever it was, something like that. I don't know what the percent is, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, no, we're on to something here. It's about how you want to focus on the negative, or do you want to focus on possibility? Okay. And really, so percentages don't lie. So like if the doc's like, yeah, you got, a 90% chance of recovery, I'll take those odds. And that's what Michael Jordan did.
Right.
So for athletes that I work with who have been injured, I always ask them, let's talk about the facts. What's the data that you have? Because we got to start from reality, right?
Right.
Because there are, to be frank, there are career-ending injuries.
That's so true. Yeah.
It just happens.
And every injury is different.
You don't want to tell an athlete you're going to play again when maybe they won't, right?
Yeah. That'd be
wrong. You want to start from a factual place. What do the doctors say? What's the second opinion and the third opinion, and maybe even the fourth opinion from a doctor? Or what do they say? And you average out all those numbers, and that's your starting point. So you're not working from denial. So that's what I do with athletes I work with. It's all right, let's talk reality. Step 2 would be what's your plan of attack? Not what's your plan of recovery. What's your plan of attack?
And just to clarify on that, do you mean in terms of what do you want to focus on first to help you mentally, or help you in the recovery process?
Everything, right?
Okay.
So what is your plan for what are you doing now that let's say that you blow your knee out like Klay Thompson or something did with the Golden State Warriors, right? So what do you do now? What's your plan of attack? Okay, so that means you can be working on your brand, and if you're a professional athlete, you can dedicate more time to that. You can dedicate more time to your family, because this is a gift in a way that now you have some time and nurture your family. Maybe you work on your finances during that time.
Yeah.
Maybe you get in the weight room. Maybe you check out some new therapy that you do electrodes on your muscles and keep the muscles aggressively recover. Obviously you're not going to do something stupid, right? Run on a blown out knee. But you're aggressively attacking the problem. right?
Mhm.
And then you're looking for other opportunities. Like, what's the gift here? As corny as that sounds, you got to look for the gift.
You got to look at the bright side. Have to look at the bright side.
And so I get athletes just like, get out of that funk as quickly as possible. Let's brainstorm. Let's do a plan of attack, like action, action, action.
That's dope.
And then they have a sense, because what happens is they're out of their routine with an injury, and their sense of identity and purpose and daily routine
It's gone.
is gone, right? That will depress anybody.
Yeah, that's true. If you can't do what you do on a daily basis, and like everything has to change of what you do on a daily basis, that's insane. That is I've never thought about it that way, but that gives me even more reason to really sympathize for, athletes when they do have to go through these tough injuries, because literally it's something as simple as walking to the fridge and getting something to drink. If you blow your knee out, you're not going to be able to do that on you. It takes 15 minutes to do that. So it's insane. So that's a great point. I'll let you continue.
No, I was going to say, you just, what you got to do is you got to replace it. You got to keep that athlete busy. You go, like, let's brainstorm and let's get you aggressively attacking the problem. Like, what's the plan of attack? Okay. And then when you do that, then the athlete has a sense of purpose again. Like, oh, I'm working on my brand now. I'm talking to agents. I'm doing this and that. I'm working on my marriage. I'm going to couples therapy with my wife. Or like, I'm taking care of some business that I haven't been, that I've been ignoring for years. Like, what a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean you're in denial. You're just going like, all right, this happens, this reality. What am I going to do about it? And then once they have this plan of attack, they get lit up. And actually what happens is that promotes healing in the body. So the worst thing for an injury is stress and depression, because that increases inflammation and cortisol in the body.
Wow.
And actually you will heal slower. So
Wow.
What you want to do is you want to be like busy and active and positive. And that's going to actually help the healing process too.
Man, it kind of takes your mind away from it.
Yeah, well, it's literally body chemistry. So if you're have a positive mindset and you're feeling like you have some control in your life, you're going to be basically outputting better hormones and neurotransmitters in your brain and your body, and that's going to help the healing process. The opposite is if you're feeling like really depressed and bummed out and your metabolism goes down and all this stuff, like, you're not going to heal as well either. So keep that athlete busy, plan of attack, let's go. And again, it starts from that place of reality. And interestingly, like, the reality can change too. If your prognosis for your injury is bad, I'm all into just measure. One doctor tells you one thing, the other doctor is going to tell you something different.
Right. So get both opinions, and
at least 3 opinions.
Right.
At least 3 opinions, because so many of us just trust doctors as the experts, right?
That they don't realize they can make mistakes too.
They're just people who've gone to medical school for a little while, and they have an opinion about stuff. I'll share a personal story. It's about
let's hear it.
Yeah, probably about 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. I had never really gotten injured cycling, fortunately, but I was mountain biking. It was about 10 or 11 years ago. And I had like this kind of just routine fall slip out, and I thought everything was fine, but I broke my leg.
Damn.
Like, it just got all twisted up weird. And I was like, oh my God, I had to be like carried out of the woods by my buddies. Man. It was brutal, man. And I was like, this couldn't have happened. Like, I was in denial, like, oh my God, like, how do you break a leg? Like, it was just this weird fall. And so I was in that point afterwards, like, I can't believe this happened. And the doctor and the physical therapist, like, you don't even want to walk on it for, 6 weeks. You're going to lose muscle mass. You just have to accept it, all this stuff. So I got depressed. And then I was talking to some friends that I knew, like a nurse and a physical therapist. And this one physical therapist said, oh, you got to see my buddy. He's a mountain biker. He like races and rides mountain bikes, and he's a physical therapist in your health network. And I saw this guy. I fired my old the physical therapist.
Right.
The new guy's like, dude, we got to get a plan of attack. Like, let's get you on the stationary bike trainer, making sure you don't lose muscle. And it was a completely different philosophy. So I tell athletes, like, get different opinions so that you know exactly what's going on with your body.
Yeah, and I feel like it also too, gives that other perspective of different methods. Like one doctor may be super reliable on, I mean, obviously most doctors are, heavily relied on by statistics, but they may look at it and only present to you like, hey, this is the chances of this and this, like this is what's going to take the most time. So like they may give you a bunch of terrible news that you may not want to hear and deliver it, slightly, different from what you may want to hear. Like
to be honest, Manny, like there are some doctors who honestly, they don't get it right. And it's maybe not their fault. Right? Like
that's so true too. Yeah, it could be wrong. Like, what they pulling it for you is it could 100% be wrong. So that is so true.
Yeah.
That's so true, man. And
you got to take control. You got to advocate for yourself. You got to get different opinions.
Right.
And again, plan of attack after the injury. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy, man. And all right, man. So look, I want to move on. I kind of want to jump into some personal stuff, just some quick things, man. That way people can kind of familiarize themselves with you. If they want to work with you, they can reach out to you. What's your favorite type of music genre, man? What type of music do you like to listen to?
I'll just confess. I love electronic dance music.
Electronic dance, okay. I rock with so many different categories of music. So, I'm guessing you're familiar with Kaytranada? Maybe?
No, I'm not actually. No.
Okay, he's kind of on the newer side. He's more so like house though. He's like kind of house music. House music. So yeah, I don't know if that kind of rides with electronic. It might be in like two different categories.
Detroit and Chicago are the birthplace of house music.
Yeah, they have that conversation, that argument all the time of, oh yeah, we started house music. No, we started. Okay.
WBMX Chicago.
Back in the day. I've heard of it, man. I'm actually I'm with WBBM, but I'm familiar with them as well. Yeah. So
it's all over YouTube. You can Google, WBMX house music 80s mixes.
Okay.
That's how I got started liking electronic.
You used to play the mix on the radio all the time. Yeah, man. They used to, that's kind of that a little bit started my interest in it. When I was a kid, what's funny is as a kid, I used to like not like it. I'm like, man, I don't understand it. Like all the music is just fast. As a kid, I didn't understand it, but the older I got, and I would hear it, I'm like, oh, this is the song. This is like a similar mix to what I heard, as a kid or what I would hear as a kid, because they would play it on the radio all the time and stuff. And I don't know. Then eventually I started to just expand to it. So I rock with the house music too, and the electronic music. What's your favorite movie category? Let's hear that.
Sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi nerd. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marvel for sure.
I only like the first Star Wars 1977 original one.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only one that I really think is great.
Okay. So,
for what it is.
I hate saying this, man. I can't believe I'm about to say this on there either.
You can say it.
My girlfriend actually clowned me a lot because like between Harry Potter, obviously we know Harry Potter is a huge series. Yeah. I've never seen it.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it in Star Wars.
I've never seen it either.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the spaceships blowing up. I like that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Like the sorcery, that kind of like.
Yeah. So okay, but Marvel, you rock with Marvel and stuff, right? I'm guessing.
I like the Marvel stuff, sure.
Okay, yeah, that's like kind of more of my speed too, and
action.
I like the action. I just never got into Harry Potter though, man, and I'm so glad I'm not alone.
It's okay not to like Harry Potter.
I'm so glad I'm not alone, man. And then also too, man, just want to hit you with the last question about a person. If you could choose one sport to be a top athlete in, other than cycling, because you were kind of a top athlete in cycling, what sport would that be? Let's hear it.
Man, God, I don't know. Like,
it's a lot of sports to choose from.
Yeah. Well, I could kind of cheat and say MotoGP, motorcycle racing.
Ooh,
okay. Cycling.
Okay.
But it's not as athletic, but it's fairly athletic. I find that I watch a couple of videos on MotoGP, like some epic battles, and my heart rate gets up there.
Man, that'd be the I really need to learn more about that. Being 100% transparent, I need to learn about that. And you said Motorsport GP. I'm not too familiar with it. That's the racing. It's still racing, right?
Yeah, so it's basically motorcycles that are built for kind of like a circuit racing, and they're leaning into the corners, and it's just all skill and concentration, and they're leaning these bikes over, and their heart rates. I mean, it's a pretty intense sport.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, but I've never actually watched it. I need to definitely check that out because it sounds interesting too. And I would always see the pictures and stuff. And like, I'm not big into NASCAR, but obviously like I would sit and watch NASCAR if it's on. I have no problem with it. But that's new for me. That's new for me. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Check out Valentino Rossi.
Valentino Rossi.
ROSSI. Any of those videos, if you just want to get amped up, like just get in a good mood and get your heart rate going, you watch one of those and it's like the most intense motorsport. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So he's the guy to look at for the thrill, watching on the highlights and stuff. Yeah, I see the pictures and stuff, man. And like I see when they do the lean and everything, like when they're cutting corners, shit looks epic. It looks kind of crazy, man. So I wouldn't try it. I put it that way.
I wouldn't try it either, honestly.
Anything you want to just share, get off your chest, or just mention prior to us wrapping up, man?
I would say, just for athletes out there, athletes are so like tough-minded, and which is great, but they can be kind of hard on themselves. And I would just encourage athletes, if you are feeling any signs of burnout, if you are feeling like you're negative and down on yourself, take care of it sooner rather than later. Think about mental coaching or even psychotherapy. Think about it like getting a coach. Really, is all it is. It's like you're human just like everybody else. You're not immune to stress and anxiety and depression.
Absolutely.
Take care of it sooner rather than later. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a sign of weakness. And it makes me think of like Kevin Love, for example, of the Cavaliers, who had a panic attack on court during a game. And it took that to get him into therapy, right? Yeah. And then he just benefited from that. So all athletes are human. Take care of your mindset, your mental health, and it's going to pay dividends for sure.
Yeah, I like that. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying too, man, hey, those who are not involved in sports anymore, take that same advice. You definitely listen to that same advice. It doesn't matter if you're not competing at a high level anymore. That same type of advice can be applied to whatever you're trying to accomplish as well. So definitely just want to jump off of that. And that was great advice, man. But Michael, man, I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Where can the people find you if they want to work with you, if they just want a therapy session or just to kind of follow you, stay up to date with you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I have two services. One is psychotherapy, and I'm licensed in the state of Florida, California, and Wisconsin. So I can't do therapy outside of those states. And that's for something like if athletes really struggling with some issues of like anxiety and depression, things like that. The other service is mindset coaching. And that is just nationwide, and that's anyone who wants to up-level their mental game. And again, the higher you get in your sport, the more mindset matters. Right. So athletes don't often reach their full potential until they start tapping into their mindset. So you can find my mindset coaching at michaelceely.com, and my last name is spelled Ceely. Gotcha. And then my therapy stuff, if you just Google my name, all the stuff's going to be coming up. So.
Okay, cool. Well, you guys know where you can find me, man. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Run Podcast. Also follow my personal page as well at I am Manny Wilson. Until then, man, share this with a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor, a coworker, a friend, anyone you can think of. And we will be back later on next week, and so on and so on and so on.